Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Femme. The second I sprayed this, I genuinely paused. Not because it was overwhelming. Not because it was offensive. But because it did something I did not expect from a Gucci flanker. It got dark. Properly, unapologetically, beautifully dark. Most flankers of best-selling fragrances play it safe. They take what works, water it down, slap Absolute or Intense on the bottle and charge you more. This one does something different. And before we get into the notes, the performance, whether that £93 price tag is justified, I want to plant one thought in your head right now. The note that makes this fragrance genuinely special is not listed anywhere on the official Gucci website. I found it. I'll tell you exactly what it is. But you're going to have to stay with me. Gucci and fragrance have a complicated but fascinating history. The house launched its first fragrance back in 1974, and for decades it sat comfortably in the luxury mainstream, beautiful, polished, occasionally brilliant, but rarely daring. Then came the Guilty line in 2010, and something shifted. Guilty wasn't a traditional Gucci fragrance. It was edgier, more provocative, built around the idea of rebellion dressed in luxury. It sold in enormous numbers. And then in 2017, Gucci did something unexpected. Instead of releasing another soft, approachable version of Guilty, they went the other direction entirely. They created Absolute for both men and women, and leaned into darkness, leather, resin, and a rawness that the original never had. The Absolute range represents Gucci at its most uncompromising in the fragrance world. This isn't the Gucci of soft florals and gentle musks. This is the Gucci that Alessandro Michele brought to the runway, layered, theatrical, a little transgressive. And the Pour Femme version, which is what we have today, takes that philosophy and adds something undeniably feminine without softening its edges. That creative tension is exactly what makes it worth discussing. Let's talk about the bottle because it genuinely deserves its own moment. Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Femme comes in a bottle that is immediately striking. The glass is a deep, dark amber, almost cognac in color, and it's not trying to be delicate or conventionally pretty. It has weight to it. Real, physical heft when you pick it up. The silhouette is clean and architectural, slightly squared off, with a metallic cap that has a satisfying click when you place it back on. The gold lettering on the front is understated rather than showy. It doesn't scream luxury at you, it implies it. And there's something to be said for that. The outer packaging follows the same aesthetic, dark, warm tones, minimal text, quality cardboard that doesn't feel like it cost 3 pence to produce. Does it look good on a dressing table? Absolutely. It photographs beautifully, it sits confidently among other bottles, and it communicates exactly what the fragrance is, something rich, grown-up, and a little bit dangerous. The bottle matches the scent's character almost perfectly, which is rarer than you'd think. A lot of fragrances get bottled incorrectly, a dark, heavy scent in a frosted pink flacon, a fresh citrus in something that looks like a gothic novel. Here, the design team clearly talked to the perfumers. Everything is aligned. Right. The spray itself. First things first, the projection on initial application is confident but not aggressive. This is not a fragrance that announces itself across the room in the first 30 seconds and then promptly disappears. The opening is restrained in the best possible way. What you get immediately is this warm, slightly smoky sweetness. There's a woody quality right at the top, almost like cedarwood but darker, denser, as if someone took cedarwood and left it in a room where candles had been burning for hours. There's also what I can only describe as a raw leather facet that appears within the first minute. Not the clean, polished leather of a handbag. Something more organic, more animalic, closer to suede that's been worn and lived in. It's remarkable because it shouldn't be a top-note experience. Leather is typically a base-note territory, but this fragrance throws its cards on the table immediately. It tells you exactly the kind of evening you're about to have. There is no bait and switch here. What you smell in the first minute is a preview of what's coming, just amplified and deepened over time. The projection in those first minutes is medium, maybe 1.5 meters to 2 meters. It's present. It announces you. But it doesn't clear the room. As Guilty Absolute Pour Femme develops over the first hour, something genuinely interesting happens. That initial leather woody opening begins to bloom outward, and you start to get something warmer, almost floral, but not in a conventional sense. There's no rose, no jasmine in the way you'd find in a traditional feminine fragrance. What emerges is more like a heated, resinous warmth that has a floral quality without ever being a flower. It's the kind of thing that makes you lean into your wrist and think, what is that? The heart of this fragrance is where it distinguishes itself from the male absolute version. There's a richness here, a slight creaminess that softens the leather without neutralizing it. Think warm skin, not silk. It retains that slightly dark, slightly raw quality while becoming progressively more enveloping and intimate. About 40 minutes in, the leather begins to feel less like something you're wearing and more like something you are. That sounds strange on paper. On skin, you'll understand immediately. The evolution in the heart phase is one of this fragrance's greatest strengths. It genuinely develops rather than simply fading. Now, 3 to 4 hours in. This is where I found what I mentioned at the start, the note that surprised me, the thing that isn't clearly listed anywhere but is absolutely present on my skin. In the dry down, after the leather and the resinous warmth have settled, there is an unmistakable accord that smells like dark, almost bitter cocoa. Not sweet chocolate. Not gourmand in any obvious way. But a dry, dusted cocoa, like the inside of an expensive patisserie at the end of the night. It shouldn't work alongside leather and wood. It absolutely does. The dry down on Guilty Absolute Pour Femme is stunning. It becomes this warm, skin-close, deeply intimate fragrance that sits right at the boundary between edgy and sensual. The projection drops in the dry down, it becomes more personal, more private, something that requires closeness to appreciate. That's not a flaw. That's the design. By hour 5 or 6, you are wearing a fragrance that feels like it belongs to you specifically. It has that quality of becoming part of your skin chemistry rather than sitting on top of it. The soul of this fragrance is absolutely in the dry down. If you tested this on a card in a shop and never let it develop fully on your skin, you have not experienced this fragrance. Honestly? The longevity is impressive. On my skin, I'm getting a solid 7 to 8 hours of detectable fragrance. The projection story changes over that time. In the first 2 hours it's a confident medium projection, trails you slightly as you move, someone in the same room will catch it without needing to be close. From hours 2 to 5, the sillage softens and becomes more personal. From hour 5 onwards it's a genuine skin scent, close and warm and almost secretive. On clothing, you can expect significantly longer. I sprayed this on a jumper and could detect it the following morning, 14, 15 hours easily. In terms of time of day, this fragrance peaks in cooler temperatures and evening light. It is absolutely an autumn and winter fragrance. I would not reach for this in July. It suits low light, cool air, the hours after 6 p.m. It's not a commuter fragrance. It's not a gym bag fragrance. It is, to be completely direct about it, a date-night fragrance, or a stay-at-home and feel extraordinary fragrance. Both are valid. Let me paint a few portraits here because I think this is genuinely useful. If you are the type of person who has a collection of fragrances and the ones you reach for most often have leather, oud, or tobacco in them, you will love this. It's accessible enough that it won't alienate you if you're newish to dark fragrances, but it's got enough depth and character to satisfy someone who's been wearing Shalimar and opium for 20 years. If you're the type who dresses with intention, who chooses an outfit as a full expression of mood rather than just practicality, this fragrance will resonate with you. It is not background noise. It is a statement. If you're someone who loves fashion but always plays it safe with fragrance, a fresh floral, a clean musk, something universally inoffensive, this could be the fragrance that changes how you think about scent entirely. Now, who should not wear this? If you work in a professional environment where fragrance needs to be near invisible, leave this one for evenings. Its character is too strong, too intentional for boardrooms and client meetings. If you prefer light, airy, summery fragrances, this will feel oppressive to you. And if you are looking for something crowd-pleasing and universally loved, this is not that. This fragrance will attract comments. Not all of them will be conventional compliments. Some people will find it polarizing. If that makes you uncomfortable, look elsewhere. £93 for 90 milliliters. That works out to just over £1 per milliliter. In the designer fragrance market in 2024, that is genuinely competitive. Chanel, Tom Ford, even some Dior flankers are pushing well past that price per milliliter mark. For a £93 fragrance, the quality of the ingredients, the longevity, and the complexity of development are all punching above their weight. Is some of that price the Gucci name? Of course it is. You'd be naive to pretend otherwise. But the liquid inside is not an afterthought. It was created by perfumer Emily Bevier-Copperman, and you can feel the intention in every stage of development. Now, a cheaper alternative that scratches a similar itch. If you want that dark, leathery, resinous quality at a lower price point, look at Zara's Gourmand Leather or YSL's Black Opium for a slightly more mainstream but related experience. Neither is the same, but both are worth exploring if the budget is tight. My score for Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Femme is an 8.5 out of 10. I'm taking points away for the fact that the Sillage drops quite significantly after the 2-hour mark and because the opening, while interesting, might feel slightly jarring to someone expecting a more conventional feminine fragrance. I'm giving it that 8.5 because the dry down is extraordinary, the longevity is excellent, and it is genuinely one of the more interesting mainstream feminine fragrances of the last decade. You can find it at p-11.com, I'll put the direct link in the description below. They stock the full 90 milliliter bottle and the price there is sharp. Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Femme is one of those rare designer fragrances that earns its price tag not through marketing or heritage alone, but through genuine quality and an unwillingness to be ordinary. It is dark, intimate, and deeply, confidently itself. If you're on the fence, get to a counter and let it dry down on your skin for 4 hours before you decide, because the opening alone will not tell you the whole story. Here's the question I want to leave you with. If you own Guilty Absolute Pour Femme, I genuinely want to know, did the dry down justify that price for you, or did the drop in Sillage after 2 hours leave you wanting more? Tell me in the comments. And if honest fragrance reviews with no hype and no shortcuts are what you're after, subscribe. I post every week and I never recommend something I wouldn't buy myself.